what motivated me to become a chef? Actually, it's funny because I never had really thought about cooking seriously, like as a career, until I was about 20 years old. My family is always like centered around the dinner table. Like I have a lot of fond memories. My grandmother would always put on this huge big breakfast for us. So I definitely have a foundation of memories that stemmed from that. But you know, I finished high school, wasn't really doing anything too exciting. Always, you know, felt like maybe I would get into biology, or I thought about law. And just one day, I mean, I always enjoyed cooking at home. I thought, what the hell, let's give this a try, right? So I got a job at Cora's Breakfast and Lunch, and like that was it. Like I totally fell in love with it. I was there for 3 months, and I just like hit the ground running. What do I like most about my job? Well, a few things. I would say number one, definitely I'm culinary focused, super passionate about my craft. I love how everything's always changing all the time. I mean, with trends, new ingredients come up all the time, so it always keeps things interesting and keeps you thinking about, okay, what's the next thing? Another thing I really, really love about the job is just like the people that I work with, the cooks, the lifestyle, I guess. It really strikes a chord with me. I mean, when you spend so long with these guys, like you really become like a tight-knit family, right? So when you have successes, it means that much more. So when I create a menu, which I'm actually doing right now, we're doing the spring menu, which hopefully will launch May 15th. I always start by one ingredient or one method, and everything just kind of sparks from there. So for instance, springtime, right? So I'll reach out to my suppliers and ask them, like, do you have anything super interesting? What will be available between this time period? So maybe it's ramps, right? Okay, like I know I want to use ramps. That's a super spring Ontario ingredient. And then everything will just kind of spiral and stem from there. So it might not come from like the protein, which is typically like the star of the dish, but it could come as simple as a ramp or a spring pea that will just kind of get me going, and then it kind of all just kind of snowballs from there. When it comes to ingredients, it's extremely important, especially to what this restaurant speaks of, that we source everything locally when we can, and obviously that non-GMO would be a big factor as well. All the partnerships we have, I have a list of probably 30 different suppliers that I go through for individual specific ingredients. So a lot of it's wild stuff, just stuff that grows in the wild. So I have foragers that will pick my mushrooms, that will gather ramps, and then I have some really, really awesome small farms that produce at a small level, but amazing quality. They have just as much passion in their ingredients as I do in cooking, so you almost don't need to even do anything to them, right? So working at Epic and working at the Royal York has changed me in a few ways. It's obviously given me the opportunity to work with just such a wealth of knowledge. I come from a background of smaller a la carte restaurants. That's where I spent most of my experience. Very different and a lot of fun in its own right. But the first thing I noticed when I came here was just all the people that have all this knowledge just at your fingertips. So being the leader in the kitchen, making sure it runs well is definitely my top priority. It all comes from the colleagues. It all stems from the cooks, right? If my guys aren't happy, then we're simply not going to work together well as a team, and we're not going to do a good job. So it really, really, really stems from that. So to keep them happy, many different things. My thing is all about learning and developing, and finding new and exciting things to have fun with, experiment with. Every single menu that I come out with, there's always a list of things that I've never even done before, but I want to do it with these guys, and we're going to accomplish these things as a team. So we grow and we learn together, and that's super exciting for them. It always keeps them on their toes. Do I have any pre-game rituals? Actually, funny enough, I do. So we have this one thing during our shift briefing. So we do our briefing, we talk about what's going on, and I remind the guys, for instance, just so you know, today's Sexy Food Monday. And then the next day will be Sexy Food Tuesday. And then right on to Sexy Food Wednesday. So we're always serving sexy food, but it just kind of gets them pumped up and ready for the evening. So if Prime Minister Trudeau, rather, came into the restaurant and I had to surprise them with dinner, what would I do? That is a really interesting question. I guess what I would do is I'd start by maybe looking at a bit of history with himself, like what are his favorite things to eat, and then take like some sort of local spin on that depending on what's in season. And I think that would like really truly make, you know, like a unique memory for their experience. So one item on the menu that we had to fight hard for, funny enough, was actually the carrot soup that you guys had tonight. A couple of you guys had tonight. The presentation comes out, it's in a bowl, and you have like this hazelnut soil with these little carrots poking out and these little carrot tops poking out, and it kind of looks like a potted plant, right? And I remember at the time when I was doing our menu tasting, everybody was like, there's no way that the executives are going to like this. Like it looks like dirt. Why would anybody want to eat dirt, right? So anyways, we did the tasting for the executive team. Edwin Frizzell, our GM, loved it, and it is a huge hit on the menu. Everybody that has that soup is always so surprised at how something so simple is so flavorful. So we utilize the Rooftops Honey in many different applications. We use it in lots of different cocktails. We have a seasonal cocktail menu that utilizes the Rooftop, not only just the honey, but all the fresh herbs that we grow up there through the season as well. Also, we use it in desserts, sauces, salad dressings, soups. I mean, honey is super versatile, and in our beer bread actually, which is kind of a unique story. So we have a partnership with Mill Street Brewery. They take our honey, they make our apiary ale. We then take the spent grains from that process. We send it to a local baker, Mark Tuet, and we give him our honey as well, and he makes a spent grain and Rooftop Honey beer bread for the restaurant. What do I think the next major food trend will be? What I do see happening, and I mean it's kind of already happening right now, but getting back to the basics. I feel like, you know, 5-10 years ago things went a little crazy with the whole molecular gastronomy fad, and people were taking these amazing fresh ingredients and manipulating them so much that you almost didn't even know what they were anymore. So taking what we learned there, right, because some of those things are useful, but really staying true to the ingredient and utilizing the best that we have locally, seasonally. It seems so simple, but when you do that, that's when you have amazing dishes, because you're tasting things at the very best that they could ever be, right? I've always wanted to go to Spain, definitely on my hit list. I feel like Spanish food, that whole sort of movement is definitely on the forefront of sort of unique ingredients and unique techniques. They've always been innovating over there. And then most recently as well, Peru. Really want to go to Peru. They have such a vast variety of ingredients available to them just based on the different climate and the geographic position. I can definitely say I have no regrets whatsoever. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because that's the only way you'll learn. I mean, when you're a younger chef, you tend to, you want to always impress people, and you're very timid, and you don't want to make mistakes, right? Especially because the restaurant industry can be super cutthroat. Ask tons of questions. I mean, I did these things anyways, but but yeah, I guess just don't be afraid of making mistakes, because that's how you learn. Easy cooking tips I can give a beginner chef. The number one thing, and something that seems so simple, yet takes time to learn, but something you should definitely practice, is seasoning. So it's simple salt and pepper, just getting the seasoning levels right on your dishes. So not tasting salty, but obviously just enough there to really elevate the flavors. An unseasoned dish will just fall super flat, right? So, start with salt and pepper, and then play with acidity, because acid will really bring out different flavors in different dishes. So lemon juice, for example, and it will add like a nice freshness to the dish, as well as it will cut through fat. So really playing with seasonings and acidity would be definitely like my personal style as well, is always sort of the first things I start teaching young cooks how to master. The last thing I cooked for myself was bruschetta.
Yeah?
It was bruschetta. Just a simple classic bruschetta. I made that a couple days ago at home on ciabatta. Super simple. Balsamic reduction, yada yada yada. Delicious. Love it. If I could eat one meal before I die, what would it be? it would be a stuffed chicken ballantine with pancetta and caramelized onions and fresh sage, just over a simple roasted garlic mashed potatoes and pan jus. I love it. Super savory, super like umami, sort of crispy skin. Love it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you.
It was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.